Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of creating a Christmas layout and how to choose papers. If you recall, my last video used a sketch for a 2-page layout and I broke it into 2 1-page layouts to fit my photos. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com/home, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. If you remember from my last video, I am using the Reindeer Memories scrapbooking kit mainly because it has the die cuts and it just has different patterns of paper. And then I've also pulled out the Reindeer Days paper collection because the Reindeer Memories doesn't contain all of the patterns. So I pulled out some patterns that I think I'm going to use. This one, again, is from the scrapbook kit, so it was exclusive. This is the one that looks like polka dots from afar, but I think they're actually sleigh bells. So I've got that one. I've got this little piece of the plaid that I used on the last layout. Then I have these 2 patterns, so probably going to use this side. And then as far as the background, because there's so much kind of cream color in here, and then there's the fireplace, I've pulled out this pattern from Nest of Winter. I'm thinking about using that. It's a birch wood, so it's supposed to kind of go like this, but I'm thinking I may do it horizontal. And then I've also pulled out the Season of Elegance. Now, one side doesn't have any gold, and then the other side has gold. So I'm not sure. I hate to waste the gold side, but I really don't think it's necessary. So I'm going to play with those 2 pieces. And then, of course, I do have a white piece. And then I have all of the elements that I cut using the die cuts from the paper. So I'm going to use some of those as well. And then the sticker sheet, and then some more die cuts. So let me kind of see how this is looking. That's kind of busy. That's kind of muted. I like that. And if we have this over here, I just have this one piece. I'm going to have to split it. But the good thing about that is I have, where is it? This is going to be behind my photo. So the gold is not working for me. The gold has an elegance to it that I don't think that this photo does. Kind of liking that. It's a little bit too dark. I wish it was a little bit lighter, and that's way too busy. So maybe I should stay with white. Maybe I'll double matte with one of these. So I am just going to speed this up a little bit and just keep looking at these pattern papers. Now, I know that I don't want it just stark white. So if you know me, I say this all the time, but if you know me, when I am struggling with my next decision, I usually try to move on and go to something that I know. And this light paper, I used it, I don't think y'all have seen that video yet. Anyways, I love it. Absolutely love it. So I've decided to actually cut some scallops, and this is going to be a border that's going to span toward the bottom of my layout. Now I'm just going to clean up the tops here so I can use this strip, and then I'm just going to kind of scallop along the bottom of those lights. And again, that way I'll have 2 scallop pieces and I can actually adhere them toward the bottom of my page. Now there will be a seam, but you can always hide that with either some stamps, ephemera, embellishments, etc. So I've trimmed those, and then I'm pulling out my pieces, and I need to decide what I'm going to do with that background piece. I have decided against the Season of Elegance because of the gold. So I am going to go with the back side of the Season of Elegance. That's one benefit of having a front and a back side. You can kind of choose. Although I hate to waste that gold, I just don't think it's going to fit for this layout. I'm going to go ahead and just tack down this Deer DSP to that Season of Elegance. And then I'm going to go ahead and tear. I usually love tearing. I haven't done it in a while, but it's something that adds texture, and then it's also just going to add a little bit of something behind so it doesn't look like just a true double matte behind the photo. So I've torn that. I've torn it toward me so you don't see the white edge, and then I'm going to adhere that down along the right side of the layout and just kind of eyeball the center, top and bottom. And then I'm going to come in with those strips of paper. Now remember, I only had a little bit of the plaid, so I've cut that in half, and then I'm going to cut equal parts out of this little sleigh bell paper. Going to go ahead and add some tape adhesive to the back of those, and that's going to make it really easy for me just to tack down. Now, I did want just to add some dimension again. I wanted these pieces to be going over that Season of Elegance kind of muted pattern paper, but I wanted it to go right under my photo mat. So, or that deer DSP that my photo mat is on. So I've got those adhered down, and then I'm going to come back with this one. Now, I wish I would have adhered it flush to the edge of the layout, but I ended up doing it flush to the edge of those red strips of DSP. It's not horrible. It's just now watching the video, I think I would have liked it better flush with the edge, but it's done. You barely even can tell. Had I not even pointed it out, maybe you couldn't tell. I did add some dimensionals on the back of this title. Now remember, this title comes from the exclusive die cuts from the Reindeer Memories Scrapbooking kit. That will be linked below if you are liking these layouts. I have one more to share, actually. That'll go up in a few days. Now, behind that title, I felt like this white cardstock just needed something. So I've pulled out my Glacier ink. This is a color from close to my heart because I don't really have a whole lot of Stampin' Up! Colors just yet. And I'm just using a blending brush to add some color behind where that title goes. And then I'm also bringing that color toward the bottom. I may journal down there, but I wanted that blending to be more than just one place. Again, so it doesn't look like I just slapped some ink on this layout. You want to make it look cohesive. Now, the Reindeer Fun stamp set has these cute little snowflakes. So I'm just taking that same Glacier ink and I'm just going to add some snowflakes on the left and the right at the top, and then do the same at the bottom. I am going to add one more snowflake behind that title and then go ahead and get that adhered down. Remember, that is on some dimensional elements. And then add just some right around the corner of that torn pattern paper. Now here is where I am going to add these little scalloped edges that were created by cutting apart that light DSP. I definitely wanted 3D foam. I thought about using the mini dimensionals, and then I remembered that I have this huge roll of this super thin foam tape. I use tons of foam tape. It's one of the things that I hate to say pride myself in, but I use a lot. And so this is one of my favorites because you can see there, I didn't have to cut any of that. It's just so thin that you just basically can kind of manipulate it, especially rounded edges. I'm going to peel the backing off of that, and then I'm going to adhere that down at the very bottom of that reindeer DSP to kind of hide the seam between it and the other DSPs. Now there is going to be a seam between these two. I am going to cut this piece off. Now I will end up adding this piece later on in the process so that scallop actually goes the length of the page or the width of the page. Now, this Christmas tree is one of the die cuts from the Reindeer Memories Scrapbooking kit. I've decided to add some 3D foam to it, and I'm going to put it down at the bottom. Now, I hated covering the pillows in this fireplace of this photo, but I just felt like the photo just had nothing. Now, off camera, somehow my camera stopped. I did add some of that holly. Now I added the rest of that scallop on the left, and I hid that seam with the holly. I added one of the deer, and then I'm going to add that ho 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 sticker. And now I need to work on adding or hiding the seam of the two larger pieces of that light scalloped DSP. So I have this DSP that has all these adorable little presents on it. Now the Reindeer Fun actually has presents. It comes with a stamp set and die cuts, but I am being lazy. Or like my husband says, I am being efficient with my time. And instead of pulling that out and pulling out my die cut machine, I am just going to quickly fussy cut these out. These are basic presents, so it doesn't take long to fussy cut them. And I'm mainly trying to pick patterns of the wrapping paper that don't clash. I'm also trying to get some red, some white, some green, some various shades of green. And that way, when I actually put them down on top of that light scallop, I'm also going to put them toward the top near the deer and then up over that sleigh bell paper. That way they won't clash, I guess, with the pattern. So I'm being very intentional about which ones I decide to cut. I'm also trying to cut some tall ones, some long ones, some short ones, some square ones, so on and so forth. So I've pretty much got those completed. I will end up cutting some more off camera here in just a second. Now, for the most part, again, I'm using this to hide the seam down here on this scallop. I'm just going to play with a few of the presents here. I definitely don't want them straight, so I'm going to actually add some at an angle. I definitely want some near this little deer, and then I'm going to put some up at the top. Right now, I'm thinking I'm not going to, but in the end, I end up bringing those back. I do add this one present under the tree. I felt like it was just kind of blank down there. I will end up adding something else down there as well, which ends up hiding the majority of the present, but I still like it. Now, the deer that I put up at the top left, I'm going to use another deer here in just a second. Don't think because the DSP has deer that are actually off the DSP, or let's say that you cut some of your pattern paper for other projects. That's what happened here. I had 2 deer that weren't full deer, but you can see, especially at the end of this video, how just by adding those half deer, it really ended up looking good. Now, I am trying my hardest to do something with the O in season. At the time, I wasn't liking any of that. Now that I'm editing this video and kind of talking my thought through, I'm really liking that wreath. Now that wreath is from the Reindeer Fun die cut, so I may actually go back and add that wreath and a bow to that. Really not sure, so you'll have to check back on my social media and see if I ended up doing that. I am going to grab some stickers and see if I like those. I don't, so I'm going to put it back. There is another sticker that I'm going to put here. Well, no, actually, that's when I was trying to do some more present stickers. I did not want to do any more fussy cutting, but the stickers had too much of a white border around the presents, and I didn't think that they matched. So again, I just pulled out those scraps of that DSP, fussy cut some presents out, and added them directly to my layout and with some dimensionals. Here is that other deer that's kind of half cut off. He's got some presents on his back, and I think that that just goes perfect right down there by that tree. I'm going to trim the edge of that tree off just to kind of make everything nice and neat. And then I'm going to come back in with some of those peppermint adhesive backed real red and white little elements, little embellishments. I absolutely love these things. I talked about them in my last video, and if you've checked out my Instagram, I have some close-ups of them. They just are so, I love them. They've got 3 sizes. Now the big and the mid are really close in size, but if you haven't added these to your cart, click the link below or go to your demonstrator's website and make sure you add those. I ended up kind of roughing the edges of this DSP just to kind of add some dimension, and it was kind of getting lost on there. But for the most part, I am done with this layout. I'm going to bring out that layout from the last video I did, and then bring out the sketch and kind of show you what I'm working with. So you can see here 2 totally different photos. They're not even close in year. Now, this right layout, I pretty much did as designed. Instead of the 2 photos, I do have the 5x7. On the left layout, you might have noticed if you have our sketchbook that I did rotate that sketch, but I'm still liking the feel of it. And that's what I love about sketches, is you can make them your own and definitely make them fit for your photos. That is important. I love that little half deer, and you can see those little peppermint embellishments as well as those presents that are added. Now, in the end, I did end up adding some white gel pen to that holly. It's just that perfect little touch. Hopefully, I'll post those on Instagram as well. Don't forget to click the links down below if you'd like any of these products. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook if you don't already. And thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your week.